Welcome to the ATD Data and Analytics Summit.
Using Gatekeeper faculty fellows to close equity gaps in high enrollment, low pass rate courses. How do you lead a college from gatekeeper to gateway, creating opportunities for promising student populations so that all students have access and can indeed persist, complete, and succeed? How do you lead transformation so that the college moves from equity to justice?
And not just from equity to justice, but from equity to social and economic justice, such that lives are transformed and the opportunity gap is closed. Hello, I'm Dr. Jacqueline Taylor, Associate Vice President for Retention and Student Success and Chair of Equity and Inclusion, as well as the Title III Ideas Project Director for Southwest Tennessee Community College.
And greetings, I'm Dr. LaDonna Young, Dean of Humanities, Social Sciences, and Mathematics, and the Gatekeeper Faculty Fellowship Leader for Southwest Tennessee Community College. I also serve as the team lead for Southwest Reimagine. We are so excited to share the Southwest story with you today and highlight our collaborative work to reimagine student success and how we utilize Gatekeeper faculty fellows to close equity gaps in Gatekeeper courses. First, we begin with the moral imperative. We must reimagine student success to ensure all students can attain economic and social mobility through post-secondary education. At Southwest, we desire to be a college that closes opportunity gaps for minoritized students of color while promoting equity and social and economic justice for all.
And we must accept our moral imperative to lead and innovate for equity and for justice.
Reimagining student success requires that we engage in courageous conversation and definitive action.
Reimagining student success requires that we lead through innovation to move beyond equity to social and economic justice to close those opportunity gaps.
The ability to reimagine the college from an equity and social justice lens is paramount if we're going to move the needle and become a gateway college for the students and the communities we serve.
Our Title III Inclusive Design for Equity and Academic Success, or IDEAS goals, and our Gatekeeper Faculty Fellows course redesign goals are one and the same. They are aligned for equity. They are aligned to move us from being a gatekeeper college to a gateway college. Our goal is to increase retention, completion, and graduation while simultaneously closing equity gaps. 2 percentage points year over year for the next 2 years, and then 3 percentage points year over year for the next 2 years thereafter.
Our Title III IDEA goals and our Gatekeeper Faculty Fellowship goals intertwine. We were intentional on the front end to align our goals to decrease gaps by 2 percentage points year over year for the first 2 years and decrease by 3 percentage points year over year for the next 2 years thereafter. Over the next 5 years, we must scale for equity through better institutional management, organizational efficiency, increased professional development, and increased fiscal stability.
Scaling out of classroom supports like advising, academic support, supplemental instruction, and peer mentoring, while also infusing high-impact practices and in-classroom supports that are culturally responsive for our Gatekeeper courses, while also scaling our professional learning for faculty and staff is key. In the next 5 years, Southwest is on the trajectory to do just that. Advising caseloads will reduce from 750 to 1 to 350 to 1.
90% of faculty and staff will be trained in equity and inclusion practices.
We will be more efficient and effective as a teaching and learning college.
And finally, we will align our budget strategy for scale and sustainability. Student Success Reimagined is the recognition you cannot do this work alone. You need partners, like-minded thought partners with different skill sets, but the same mindset and the same purpose. This is the key to your reimagined success. It takes many partners to see it through together and to the end. It also takes humility and vulnerability to exchange ideas with your colleagues and receive constructive feedback.
It takes a whole college commitment to high impact practices and professional learning for faculty, for staff, and for students. Equity data sense making is key to making the right decisions for student success and for social and economic justice.
At Southwest, our faculty fellows for Gatekeeper course redesign, as well as our equity and inclusion practitioners, are leading the way in curating an equity-minded culture using data-informed decision-making and courageous action to reimagine how we serve students. Thought partnership also leads to systems thinking or a systems approach to course redesign. Here, you see the four-phased approach Gatekeeper faculty fellows followed to redesign the top 12 Gatekeeper courses. By focusing on the top 12, we also redesigned our co-requisite model, which is also known in some worlds as developmental or remedial education. Before taking a deep dive into the data, fellows spent 1 full year understanding or questioning, empathizing, and learning about the Memphis history, culture, and the culture of our students. Why? Because zip codes matter. We also know students are more engaged when they see themselves reflected in the curriculum.
Thought partnership often leads to a logic model design and architecture that infuses the campus culture with an equity-minded lens, scaling student supports, culturally responsive teaching practices, and training equity and inclusion practitioners in data-informed decision-making to put students on a pathway for success. They all serve to focus the college intentionally on the mission towards student success and workforce development.
Take a look over the last 3 to 5 years to understand our equity data baseline and the gains you have made over time.
Collaboratively make sense of the data for your top 20 highest enrollment courses, which likely will be your core curriculum. Take intentional care to understand when equity gaps widen and close for some students of color and some promising student populations, and not for others. Use the data to help you understand how your practices, your policies, your pedagogy, and perhaps your people contribute to equity gaps for students, and then use that data for decisive action.
Here's another perspective on course success. A program like Gatekeeper Faculty Fellows for Course Redesign has challenged our thinking, our ways of knowing, and problem solving for equity. Be sure to take a look back over the last 3 to 5 years to understand your equity baseline and the gains you have made over time, especially by race and gender.
Track the gains and do not stop. Start where you are, as Dr. Richard Milner, a culturally responsive teaching expert, posits, and do not stay there. Our retention has increased by almost 7 percentage points in 3 years, and graduation has almost tripled in 3.5 years, leading us to ATD Leader College. Title III has enabled us to build the needed data capacity for data-informed decision-making. We can disaggregate data from a multivariate perspective and engage in equity data sense-making. We are now able to disaggregate the data for course success for the top 20 highest enrollment courses, especially for co-requisite English and math, and disaggregate by race to determine where evidence-based, culturally responsive course design is needed.
Leveraging Promise programs for traditional and non-traditional students is key. For Southwest, we have seen a 74% increase in our adult population and a 100% increase in new enrollees. We have closed the equity gaps for adult learners between Black and white student populations. Equity gaps have been virtually erased, and opportunity has been expanded.
Stay focused on comprehensive measures of success. We choose to look at our comprehensive measures of success rather than isolated measures of success. We focus on not only graduation, but also transfer and our continuous enrollment or retention to the college, which currently shows a success rate of 42% overall.
We have made significant progress in a number of trainings around equity. To date, over 900 professionals, duplicated headcount, have been trained in equity and inclusion practices. 19 Gatekeeper faculty fellows remain in the program to redesign courses despite the COVID pandemic. As a result, we have 12 redesigned courses that are culturally responsive and Memphis-centric. For example, our Music 1030 Intro to Music course was redesigned around the Memphis music and heritage. And finally, the Gatekeeper faculty fellows have also developed a framework, the 11 characteristics of an equity-minded Southwest instructor, that will guide colleges' recruiting, hiring, onboarding, and professional development practices.
Title III Ideas and Gatekeeper Course Redesign Faculty Fellows Program have yielded gains. We have established an equity-minded culture, scaling for equity, and a commitment for social and economic justice. Courageous conversations and innovative leadership are becoming the norm. Our President's Retreat and Summer Institute focus on upward social mobility and equity, respectively. 25 equity and inclusion practitioners are now trained to analyze equity data and make sense of that data for improvement. 18 faculty fellows committed to course redesign to remove those equity gaps, especially by race, and again, despite the pandemic.
The greatest lesson learned is that strategic planning and innovation has to account for moments of crisis. COVID-19 and the social unrest challenges us to think differently about equity and how to truly achieve it. For Southwest, that means we have to be willing to conduct transparent integration, analysis, and revision of institutional policies that impact our students and employees. We also learned that student success reimagined work requires entrepreneurial and courageous leadership. And finally, We learned that Student Success Reimagined is more than simple course redesign. Rather, institutions must inspect the systems and the culture in which the courses exist to ensure equity and holistic student success. Therefore, we recommend a campus-wide equity that investigates people, practice, pedagogy, and policy from an equity and social justice lens.
With the intersection of Title III ideas and Gatekeeper faculty fellows, we are encouraged to embrace the moral imperative to move beyond equity to social justice in higher ed. We are encouraged to inspire a campus culture that is equity-minded through professional development and professional learning and transformational leadership. We are encouraged to promote those courageous conversations that challenge the higher education status quo. We are also encouraged to understand and address the need for educating the college community around higher education as a social and economic justice issue.
As you've seen today, with both innovations, the IDEAS Title III grant and the Gatekeeper Faculty Fellows, we are also able to create accountability for all involved, increase action towards improving data capacity and data democratization, make holistic student success inside and outside the classroom the top priority. And then finally, our moral imperative, move students from poverty to prosperity, thus achieving equity and social and economic justice for all.